This is WMUC FM College Park. I'm your host, DJ Ed, and welcome to the 8th episode of NightCrawlin, a show where I talk about movies and I play some great EDM music. And, just along the way, I go a little bit mad every single time. Today I'm at like a medium level mad, so I'm still sane a little bit. But before we get started, a PSA about Lyme disease.
While you're outside exercising in the sun and fresh air, make sure to check yourself for ticks after being in woodsy areas like the Paint Branch Trail. Tick bites can cause a serious illness called Lyme disease, which is highly preventable and treatable if caught early. Maryland is in the top 15 states with the highest number of reported Lyme disease cases. The best way to deal with this illness is to prevent it, so avoid going off trail into the woods, and if you have to, make sure to check yourself afterwards for ticks or signs of bites, which usually appear as red bullseyes. If you feel any potential Lyme disease symptoms, like a rash, fever, joint pain, or muscle aches, immediately go to the University Health Center. Don't let this stop you from enjoying the great outdoors. Just be alert when you're outside and prevent this infection.
All right, I don't know about you, but that got me a little itchy. I'm like, oh, geez, do I have any ticks? Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the little PSA. And now it is time to get started with the show. So for new listeners out there, I'd just like to give a little recap of how each show goes and what we talked about last week. The structure of the show is basically for the first 15-20 minutes, I'll talk about two movies that I've watched recently that I think fits with some sort of event, some sort of recent modern event that's going on. So I'll get into what we're going to talk about this week. And basically, once I finish that, for the rest of the show, I play some great EDM music. In last week's episode, because it was so close to Valentine's Day, I talked about two romance films. And not just any two romance films. Two foreign romance films. So, if you remember, the first one was The Handmaiden. And the second one was Goodbye, Mr. Loser. If you guys want to listen to my review on that, I have a YouTube channel, NightCrawlin, where I have all my old episodes on there, so you can check that out. With that being said, I was thinking to myself earlier this week, and I was like, what should I talk about, It feels like there's not much going on like a school level. Like, school is, exams are starting up, but it's not really all that serious yet. There's no holidays coming up, nothing like that. It's just a pretty, I guess besides President's Day, but that's not really anything crazy. So I was having trouble coming up with a theme for today's show. But then I was like, I looked at my phone and I got a notification. And it says that apparently Russia is amassing its tanks and all its troops along the Ukrainian border. And right now, the world is just a little bit warm. A little bit spicy. So, in honor of possible World War III happening, we're going to talk about everybody's favorite subject, war. Yep, I know. Very, very, it's a pretty crazy 180 from last week's episode of Love to war. But you know what? That's what you get on this show. So, the two war movies we're going to be talking about are going to be Inglourious Basterds, one of Quentin Tarantino's, in my opinion, his best work, but debatably his best work, and Edge of Tomorrow. A secret blockbuster hit with Tom Cruise that nobody really expected to do well, but it turned out to be really, really, really entertaining. So, let's get started. First off, we have Inglourious Basterds. So, Inglourious Basterds, a 2009 war action film directed by Quentin Tarantino and starring the one and only Brad Pitt, the one and only Christoph Waltz, Diane Kruger, Melanie Laurent, among others, is 2 hours and 33 minutes of exactly what you would expect from Tarantino. Just a brief little synopsis of the film. It's set in the midst of World War II. And it follows two main story timelines that all merge together in the end. The first one that we're introduced to is the story plot of Brad Pitt and his gang, who are American commandos dropped behind enemy lines, and their only job is to cause as much havoc and kill as many Nazis as possible. The second storyline follows the girl played by Melanie Laurent, who is a French Jew whose family was all killed by the main bad guy of the story, played by Christoph Waltz, and who starts her own cinema. But one day, this guy sees her from across the street, and he instantly falls in love. But the problem is, and this is a pretty big problem, depending on who you ask, is that he's actually a Nazi. So of course, she tries her best to not associate with this guy, but this guy just doesn't know how to take no for an answer. And it turns out that this guy isn't just some regular Nazi. He's the best sniper in all of the German Reich. So because of that, this really big shot Nazi guy, Joseph Goebbels, I don't know if you guys heard of him, makes a movie about him. And they decide to have the premiere of this movie at this French Jew's cinema. And of course, she is not into it at all. So, those are the main two plot lines of the story. But of course, because it's Tarantino, there's always these other little things that are going on along the ride. For example, we have this other mini little plot line where a spy for the Allies, she's a famous actress and she's played by the actress Diane Kruger, is trying to set something up where they can go and assassinate Hitler. But her little thing doesn't exactly pan out how she wants it to. And she ends up having to work with Brad Pitt and his gang, by the way, which are called the Bastards. I forgot to mention that at the start. To try and assassinate Hitler at this French Jew cinema when the premiere is going to happen. So you can see how all these tangles of plot where they start off completely unrelated to each other all connect and merge into this ending, which, if you've seen any Tarantino film, is exactly how they all go. Now, that's just the synopsis of the movie. Let's get down to my review. First things first, I would honestly claim that this is, if not the best, but at least one of the best Tarantino films. And you may think that's me saying, oh my god, this movie is perfect, but actually not quite. Because the thing is, I'm not actually that big of a fan of Tarantino. So me saying that a movie of his is the best or one of the best does put it pretty high, but his bar for me is kind of like mid to low, if I'm being honest with you. I feel like he has a lot of bandwagoners, and his movies aren't actually that good. Like, obviously, Pulp Fiction, you can never go wrong with that. Reservoir Dogs is a great one too. But other than that, maybe you can argue some of the other ones. Django Unchained, that was fun to watch, but none of the other ones are really that good. That includes Once Upon a Time in Hollywood too, which I would also consider it as maybe his second best. But the reason I like this one so much is, one, the plot is not as confusing or as tangled as all of Tarantino's other works. It's actually understandable. Two, the comedy is hilarious. There's plenty of scenes where we're in this super, super serious scene, of course, with Nazis. And the whole time that we're in this scene, Brad Pitt just speaks with this terrible, terrible American accent. And it's so obvious that he's not a German, but everybody just sort of ignores that his accent is so bad, even though it's so obvious to us. Also, if we talk about the cinematography, it's really good. There's nothing special about it. It's not like a Wes Anderson level of cinematography. It's fine, it's cool. It's not bad, certainly. Acting, of course, when you have this many A-list stars, I mean, come on. Brad Pitt, Christoph Waltz, legend. Diane Kruger's pretty good too. Melanie Laurent, she's also pretty good. She's I feel like I talk about Anderson a lot, but she was in a Wes Anderson film, which is why I personally love her and her acting. So, acting-wise, this movie is on point. Now, with that being said, overall, I would have to give this film 4 assassinations out of 5. It's an extremely entertaining movie to watch, filled with dark humor and appropriately serious scenes. But for me, at least, the cinematography is average at best. And the music, although there are great scenes where music plays an amazing role, it's actually not that good. And I'm sure you've been listening to it along the way. You can kind of tell it's like, it's okay, but it's nothing that I would like really choose to listen to. And by the way, just to like clear everybody up, the way I judge music, it's not about like if I personally love how it sounds, but it's more about how if it enhances a scene. And there are, don't get me wrong, there are points where the music enhances the scene, such as the start of the movie with this rising crescendo, building up tension. But overall, the music is kind of just like there. And Tarantino doesn't really use it to a great effect. Now, that was Inglourious Basterds. Let's get to the second movie that we're going to be talking about, which is Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow, a 2014 action sci-fi film. It runs for 1 hour and 53 minutes, and it's directed by Doug Liman. The stars include Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt, and Bill Paxton, among others. Now, much like Inglourious Basterds, the main theme of this movie is war. But, unlike where Inglourious Basterds is set in World War II, Edge of Tomorrow is set in the future. In this alternate future, aliens invade the Earth. Bear with me. I know it's a little corny, but aliens invade the Earth for the 20,000th time in film. And they're doing a pretty good job. Currently, they've controlled nearly all of Asia and half of Europe. I'm sorry, they actually control all of Europe. And currently they're winning the war against humanity. Much like aliens of a lot of other films, the aliens in Edge of Tomorrow are also controlled by a hive mind. And so it's kind of like a little cheat code. If you kill the main guy, then everybody else just faints and falls over. And that's pretty much what this entire film is based around, is destroying the hub of the aliens in order to completely wipe out this invasion once and for all. But what makes this movie so interesting and so unique is that there's also this factor of time travel involved. And it's not time travel, let's say, into the future, into the past. It's Groundhog Day type time travel, where each time the main character, played by Tom Cruise, dies, he basically wakes up to the day previous, and he has to repeat the entire day. So he'll keep dying and dying and dying, and he'll keep reliving and reliving and reliving until he can defeat the main hub and defeat the aliens. And so he recruits this other soldier who's famous for having won this battle called the Battle of Verdun, and she's played by Emily Blunt. And it turns out that the only reason that she won that battle was because she also had this power. And the way you get this power, by the way, is you have to kill this blue mimic, is what it's called. And when the mimic's blood splashes onto you, it resets the day. And the whole reason behind that is basically that the blue mimics are so special and so unique that the big hub will always reset the day in order to try and save them. It's like this little glitch. And so the only reason she won that war was because she had that ability, but she lost it because she was given a blood transfusion. So she understands what he's going through. And we have this amazing sequence where he starts out as this really, really bad soldier. He basically isn't even a soldier at the start. He's just this like guy on TV that tries to get people to join the army, but he never does himself. So he starts out dying every single day, pretty much like constantly. And there's this great sequence where he trains with Emily Blunt, and he gets better and better and better and better every single day. But each time he messes up, she'll just shoot him in the head so he can regenerate and keep training. And so he slowly learns, and he slowly becomes a super soldier. And he also gets these visions of where this hub thing might be. It's a little weird. Yes, it's a little like, wait, what? He gets visions? But, just bear with me. He gets these visions, and he makes it his goal to attack where this hub is. So that's basically the summary of the movie. The summary, I'll admit, sounds pretty whatever. It sounds pretty generic. It's very sci-fi if you're not into that sort of stuff. But that's probably what a lot of people thought when they first watched it. I mean, when it came out, nobody really knew about it. But then it slowly built more and more and more steam, and then it was suddenly a box office success. And the reason it was such a box office success is, one, it's actually a really, really good movie once you get down to it. Watching it, honestly, it feels like you're immersed in the world. And that's something that Doug Liman does so well, is that his cinematography is just so expansive and so world building that you really feel like you're part of the adventure that Tom Cruise is on. And each time he wakes up, you get to feel what he's feeling. You feel that confusion of what the heck is going on. Now, in terms of acting, of course it's Tom Cruise. Of course it's Emily Blunt. What can you say? So, with that being said, I would have to give this movie 3.5 alien invasions out of 5. It's an amazing movie to watch, and like Inglourious Basterds, it's extremely entertaining all the way through. It'll have you hooked to your seat. But, like you can probably tell, it's a little bit on the generic side. There's a lot of plot holes that you just kind of yada yada over. But with that being said, there's certain scenes in the movie that are comedic gold. And if you've ever seen Groundhog Day, and you've liked the premise of that, then you'll love this movie. So, that's it for the movie portion of this week. Now, I know you're tired of hearing me drone on and on and on about these movies, so we're going to get to the more exciting part, which is the music section. To follow along with this episode's theme, we're going to go for more of a war build. But I wanted to make it a little bit more unique. So let me just set up the scenario. Let me set up the scene for you guys in your head. Just so you guys know the vibe that I'm trying to go for, alright? As usual, close your eyes. Close your eyes, please. I know you don't do it. Come on, come on. Just bear with me. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. So, I want you to imagine you're a soldier fighting in some distant future war. You're one of trillions. Just a speck of dust. Just an ant in this massive, massive army. If you died, nobody would even blink an eye. Your commander tells you, hey, we're going to be deploying onto this planet infested with aliens. And you and your squad's job is to clean up all these aliens around in order to make this planet hospitable again. He gives you a little briefing about what the aliens look like, how they fight, how they behave. And, you understand, but of course you don't really understand because first of all, you've never seen these guys before, and two, you've never even been in battle. You're completely green. So you and your squad get deployed onto this planet, and as soon as you guys land, everything is eerily silent. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, you hear a massive bang. This massive, massive Cthulhu-looking creature just comes running at you. And there's nothing you can do but just start firing. Your whole squad firing. But it looks like it's doing nothing to the alien. It's just bouncing off of it like paper. And so you're firing. And this alien is getting faster and faster. Then all of a sudden, it charges at you. And at first you see black. But then you see white.
Intoxicating your kiss, intoxicating your lips. Nobody does it like this. I find it hard to resist. Feeling out of control, beautifully so. What's coming over me? It's a total eclipse of rationality. I don't usually say this, I don't usually play this game. Yeah, I know I'm not fake, but it kinda feels that way. I don't usually say this, but I think I should let you know. But baby, I don't wanna go. How could I go home when I feel like I've been loved? In your arms it's like champagne, feel it pouring in my veins. Yeah, I got myself too drunk on you to drive, so I'm crashing here tonight. Are you really this good? Damn, are you really this good? Baby, it's just like a drug. Bottle you up if I could. Oh, feeling out of control of your chemicals. What's coming over? It's a total eclipse of rationality. I don't usually say this, I don't usually play this game. Yeah, I know I'm not fake, but it kinda feels that way. I don't usually say this, but I think I should let you know. Baby, I don't wanna go. How could I go home when I feel like I've been loved? In your arms it's like champagne, feel it pouring in my veins. Yeah, I got myself too drunk crashing here tonight.
私はちょうど何が 私はちょうど何が重要か
That we would always be. Without you I feel lost at sea. Through the darkness you'd hide with me. Like the wind we'd be wild and free. You said you'd follow me anywhere, but your eyes, they tell me you won't be there. I gotta learn how to love without you. I gotta carry my cross without myself and the truth I fear. My heart is beating, I can't see clear. How I'm wishing that you were here. You said you follow me anywhere, but your eyes tell me you won't be there. I gotta learn how to love without you. I gotta carry my cross without you. Stuck in a rhythm that I'm just about to figure it out without you. And I'm done sitting down without you. I'm going body inclined without you. Once upon a younger year, when all our shadows disappeared, the animals inside came out to play. Went face to face with all our fears, learned our lessons through the tears, made memories we knew would never fade. One day my father, he told me, son, don't let it slip away. He took me in his arms, I heard him say, when you get older, your wild heart will live for younger days. Think of me if ever you're afraid. He said one day you'll leave this world behind, so live a life you will remember. My father told me when I was just a child, these are the nights that never die. My father told me. When thunderclouds start pouring down, light a fire they can't put out, carve your name into those shining stars. He said go venture far beyond the shores, don't forsake this life of yours, I'll guide you home no matter where you are. One day my father, he told me, son, don't let it slip away. When I was just a kid I heard him say, when you get older your wild heart will live for younger days. Think of me if ever you're afraid. He said one day you'll leave this world behind, so live a life you will remember. My father told me when I was just a child, these are the nights that never die. My father told me. These are the nights that never die. My father told me. afraid to admit it, but I know you know that we should've known better, but kept on trying. And it's times that we see it, the fire's dying out. Can't believe that I say this, we're out of chances now. And I just want you to know that you and me, it was good, but it wasn't right. And it'll be hard, but I know I will make it out. Step by step, I move on and get on with life. So I'll let go, and I hope you'll be happy now. I hope you'll be happy now. Yeah, I hope you'll be happy now. I hope you'll be happy now. Yeah, I hope you'll be happy now. Yeah, I hope you'll be happy. Thought we could make it if I just held on. But it's really crazy how love could fade so fast. We said forever, but now we're in the past. And I just want you to know that you and me, it was good, but it wasn't right. And it'll be hard, but I know I will make it out. Step by step, I move on and get on with life. So I let go, and I hope you'll be happy now. You and me, it was good, but it wasn't right. And it'll be hard, but I know I will make it out. Step by step, I move on and get on with life. So I let go, and I hope you'll be happy now. I hope you'll be happy now. Yeah, I hope you'll be happy now. I hope you'll be happy now. Yeah, I hope you'll be happy now. Yeah, I hope you'll be happy.
Well, we've come to the end. That pains me every single time to end my show. But, as they say, all good things must come to an end. So, with regret, I just want to say that this has been NightCrawlin. I'm your host, DJ Ed. And remember, always dance.
Give life to a world that's our own.